All right, it's 2 o'clock, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Reed. I am the VP of Marketing here at BrainSell. And today we are going to be taking a look at two CRM solutions, Infor CRM and Saleslogix. But before we dive in, I just want to cover a few housekeeping items. So this will be a 30-minute presentation approximately with a live audience Q&A at the end. That being said, at any point during the conversation, if you have questions, just put them right into that question box in your GoToWebinar panel, and we will ask them as they are relevant to the discussion. And then we are recording today's session, so we will send an email. You'll likely see it in your inbox tomorrow morning with both the webinar recording and today's presentation deck. And with that, I would like to introduce today's presenters. So on the line, we have Sonia Friedel, the president of BrainSell. She will be representing Saleslogix today. And we have Ross Jones, vice president of sales engineering here at BrainSell, and he will be representing Infor CRM. Hey, guys.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello.
All right. So, Sarah, thank you so much for putting this together, and welcome, everyone. The agenda today is pretty simple. We'll be going over features and functionality in both Infor CRM and Saleslogix. We're going to be covering pricing and, of course, Q&A. And again, put those questions in the questions box. So a little bit about BrainSell before we begin. We've been around since 1994, and we're a growth enablement company. We don't just implement software for companies. We really analyze how a company can grow with technology or even process realignment. And we'll see that all the way through. So advise customers on getting their growth strategy together and then implementing or suggesting tools that will help them achieve those goals. And we specialize in certain areas of technology, including ERP and accounting, CRM, which we're covering today, and business intelligence, even data and analytical reporting. So again, the topic for today is going to be comparing Infor CRM and Saleslogix, part of the Saleslogix CRM product stack. And Ross, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a very quick overview on the history of Infor CRM and your experience with it would be great.
Yeah, happy to oblige. Hello, everyone. I'm Ross Jones, as already introduced. Infor CRM started its life many years ago, and some of you will be able to remember this, as Saleslogix. Saleslogix was a market leader 20 plus years ago in the CRM space. And over the last probably 5 years ago, Infor purchased it and rebranded it to make it their own. So people who know Infor CRM as is, there are people who know it as was, as Saleslogix. So the names are sort of interchangeable. We don't mind if people get mixed up using them because we do ourselves sometimes.
Excellent, Ross. And you've been working with it for decades.
Well, not too many decades, Sonia. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I have actually been working with it for 20 plus years. So I originally had an exposure to it as Saleslogix in a company I was working for back in the late 90s, and we implemented Saleslogix very successfully at the time. So yes, Excellent. I've been working with it for 20 plus years.
Excellent. Well, you've got me beat, but I've been working with Sugar for over 10 years. And originally when I started at BrainSell 11 years ago, Ross, you taught me how to use Infor CRM.
Well, there you have it.
We were on Saleslogix at that point. And so
that's true.
With both applications. And Ross, as are you, very familiar with Sugar. So I think we're both two very unique individuals in this world who know both very intimately. Excellent, Sarah. Next slide. So we're gonna just I'll let Ross you kind of go first and take us down this list of some of the features that Infor has. CRM.
Sure. So sort of today's presentation is a sort of a side-by-side, and we'll be looking at what Infor CRM offers compared with Sugar CRM. We're not saying one is better or worse, but we're just trying to lay out the facts for people so that you can see. So one, and I'll take the column, obviously the Infor CRM column. One difference, if you like, is the license types for the Saleslogix Infor CRM product come in at least two flavors. A named user, most people are familiar what that is. I log in as me, I use my license, and it's mine. But also concurrent users, more familiar in the ERP space, but it means that one license can be used by multiple people, but each person uses the license, logs out, next person logs in using the same license with their own name. So there are some benefits with named and concurrent options. License quantity for Infor CRM, if it's a cloud offering, you start at 20, which is quite a big number. On-premise, 10. You can start with 10 users on-premise. So deployment, there's sort of, if you like, three common deployment methods. Cloud, obviously, Infor's cloud. On-premises, in other words, on your own server, or private hosting, in other words, your own cloud. You have your own Azure or AWS or another hosting service, and you want to install it there. Storage amounts starts at 100 gigabytes in cloud. Obviously, if you're on premises, it's unlimited. You're only limited by the size of your storage, your hard drive. Architecture, backend is Microsoft SQL Server. People are very familiar with that. Email integration, it offers the two common ones, Outlook and Gmail.
Great. And on the Sugar side, it's cloud only. So that means that they're named users only. So just as Ross said, you log in and out with your named user. You can't share licenses and have multiple names on one license as you can in Infor. So that's one big difference. The license minimum is 10, and then you can go up from there, 11, 12, 13. The deployment, as I said, is cloud. There is a legacy version of Sugar that you can have on premise. So I'll just throw that out there as kind of an asterisk. But all of the new implementations are cloud only, and that means you just log in anywhere with internet and they'll do transparent upgrades at least 4 times a year. So there's no need to do any manual upgrades from your IT department. It's really IT hands off. The storage amount for all users in the instance is 60 gigs. And I'll just say this, Ross, I believe this is the same for Infor, that the storage really is only made up of documents and attachments that get filed into the CRM. It's not necessarily just the name of the contact or the contact page. It's really the storage items that are related. So it's actually quite a bit of space. The architecture of Sugar's backend is PHP, so it's not proprietary, and it's very simple for college graduates and simple programmers to work on the actual architecture and code. However, both CRM systems, and Ross, tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but it's very easy to point and click and add a field in Sugar. How is that different in Infor CRM?
Yes, it's slightly different in Infor CRM. There are two methods of doing it. We won't get into the details now. Happy to get into that if people are interested, but you can go through the web interface as an administrator, change a view in a screen, add a field, not a problem. But there are other ways of doing it as well. So there are some differences there. Sugar has the studio. Infor does it in a slightly different way, but allows full customization and configuration.
Okay, excellent. And then same as Infor, there's strong email integrations to both Gmail and Outlook with Sugar. And
okay, a little bit of
go.
So, boom, there we are. So the Outlook integration, if people are using Infor CRM, you'll be aware of a phrase called XBAR. It's the bar down the right-hand side in these views here. You can install it in your Outlook client and allows a direct interaction with the CRM database. So you can add contacts, you can add activities, you can look things up. And of course, you can send and receive email, and of course, you can synchronize your calendars and various other things. So basically, it's got a comprehensive Outlook integration, and generally people use Outlook rather than Gmail. It's slightly different for Gmail, but it still exists. Sonia?
Great, very, very similar in Sugar CRM or Sugar Cell. Again, it's a client-side email plugin that comes at no charge with Sugar, and you're able to do very, very similar things. So add contacts and leads, add an opportunity right from an email that you receive, and of course, archive the email, meaning that it carbon copies the context or content of the email onto the record in CRM. And that's great just for looking back at the history on an account. You can look at emails without actually going into your email or asking for one of your colleagues' emails. Pretty similar. And Ross, is there a charge to XBAR?
No, like for Sugar, it's included within Infor CRM. It just comes part of the license, and you can use it. You can choose to use it or not, but it's included.
Okay, excellent.
So next slide, we're looking at mobility. Everybody wants mobile these days. It wasn't the case 5 years ago, but nowadays everybody needs it and expects it. For Infor CRM, it doesn't install an application. It references a special website so that it's formatted for your device. So it'll look right on your phone or your tablet, iPad. And one advantage of that is that it doesn't have to cache a huge amount of data on the phone, but it can do that if you choose to. There are some options to have switches so that information can be stored, but it looks at a website. When you find it to start with, you go to the URL, you save that URL on your home page like you do with any shortcut, and thereafter it behaves like an app. You go to your phone, pull up the icon, click the icon, logs you straight into CRM.
Okay. And Sugar's a bit different. They do have an official app on the iOS Apple App Store and also the Google Play App Store. This comes included, so no extra charge, and you're able to just put in your URL, your username and password, and log into the Sugar mobile app with ease. And I do a lot of work from the mobile app. Working from home, you're able to just simply tap on a phone number and it calls the contact and then prompts you to actually enter a call record after that right on your phone. So there's some very, very neat things that come with the mobile app. Ross, is there any?
I'll just go on to say, and this applies to both, but something that's really handy for mobile users is the ability to talk to your phone, right? We all use Siri and voice recognition, and both of the applications, I believe, certainly for the Infor app and Infor client, it allows you to open up an activity and speak your meeting notes. So you've just been in to see a client, everything's in your mind, you don't have to write it down, or you may have written some notes. Come back to your car, open up the activity, speak to your phone and record all those notes and save it, and it does speech to text, which is a huge time saver. And I believe that's the same actually for Sugar, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And actually that's how I record a lot of my call notes as well, right through the mobile app, even if I'm at home. Very, very easy to do, just using Siri through the interface. So great point, Ross.
Yeah. So within Infor CRM, there are user configurable dashboards, and they can be pushed out through the administrator as well. It allows the user to create any slice of data from the database and represent that in a widget in a part of the screen, which can be modified, moved around to your heart's content. You can have as many tabs. If you look across the top, difficult to see, just above the funnel on the left, there's four white pieces of writing representing tabs. So you can have multiple dashboards, as many as you wish, all representing live data feeds. And if you're integrated or you have information coming in from say a URL, that can also be shown in these dashboard views as well. Sonia?
Similar. So Sugar is similar, and that you can have subsets of data showing on a dashboard, right? So it's kind of a home screen for users. A little bit different. You don't have the ability to just make 3. You can make as many dashboards as you'd like, and you can toggle to those using the little Sugar cube on the very left-hand side, what I'm looking at, of the application, and toggle between dashboards very easily. Other things that are really unique about Sugar's dashboards is you can click into a chart and it will pop out with the actual records, the subset of that information that make up the report. So I love that. I can just easily, click on the top of that funnel chart and it will pop out with the records that make it up. One thing that's also unique is the ability to make dashboards for your team and then push them out to the teams. It's very easy to then onboard dozens of users, or even just a few. If you've spent the time making the dashboard, then you can share it with other users. Ross, can you share dashboards with Infor CRM?
I was just about to add a couple of sort of
Okay.
clarifiers, but thank you. That good prompts actually. So first of all, I may have misled you. There aren't a limitation to the number of dashboard views you can
Okay.
have. I mentioned just the 3 or 4 headlines, but you can have as many as you like. So unlimited. But there is a difference: is that the charts are not drillable in the current format. Unlike Sugar, which is drillable, Infor charts are not drillable. Infor lists and lists of data are likely to have hyperlinks back to the record, and that's drillable, but not themselves. And so if you do choose to, so you can share dashboards through the administrator function, but not through a user. So I can't share a dashboard with you, but the administrator could allow that to happen, just to clarify.
Okay, great. And do the dashboards trickle down to the mobile application, Ross? I know they do in Sugar.
So it's a good question. Currently, they don't.
Okay.
There is a plan on the roadmap to allow that to happen in future releases.
Great. Excellent.
List view is sort of boring, but let's just talk about this for a second because there is a difference between the two applications. And bearing in mind, both Sonia and I have used both of these applications. Whilst it looks like a boring list, what it's representing is any entity that you click on or module that you click on, accounts, contacts, leads, tickets, opportunities, anything. When you first click it, it comes up with a list of everything that you, the user, is allowed to see based on your security. So if you can see all 10,000 records, boom, you're going to see, technically, be able to list 10,000 records. One thing that Infor does, I think, quite well is on the right-hand side, and it's difficult to see in this view, but I'm happy to explain in detail later, is the ability to filter this list, real-time filters. So if your list comprises, say, town or region or account manager or expected close value, whatever it is that a list contains, you can immediately check a box on the right to filter on that. I only want to see opportunities that are closing this month. One button click, you click May, boom, and there's your opportunities closing for this month, if that's the list that you're looking at. So there's some very useful, speedy, how to get to subsets of data very quickly filter functionality in Infor CRM. And I think it's a little different, similar but a little different in Sugar.
A little bit. I think it might just really be the view more, kind of the look and feel of the UI, but you can still make filtered lists that are dynamic, and you can actually save those filters too and show them on dashboards. So, just like Ross said, we can show a list view of all 10,000 accounts, or you can skinny it down just by simply making a filter and then saving that filter. And you can filter on any part of the database, even a custom field. So very similar to Infor in that respect. One thing that's different, I think, is with the user interface. Sugar has done a very nice job of having kind of a side dashboard, which you're seeing there on the side of the Sugar screenshot there. When you're in a list, there's a little eyeball icon on the very right side of the list view, and you click on that eyeball, and it uses the real estate on the right side of the screen to fill up with a preview of the record. So this actually does save quite a lot of time being able to just click down on the preview button of every record and seeing what does the record consist of, and even the history of how people have interacted with that record down below. So I do like the way that they've organized the screen to take advantage of that preview real estate. Contact.
Yeah, down at the contact level, everybody talks about speaking with our clients, speaking with our contacts. The contact could also, well, it won't be a lead record, but it's talking about contacting a person. So this is a person's record. A little different between how, actually, it's similar actually between the two. Let me just explain. In any record view, there's going to be the detail at the top. That's that top bar. Then you can show as much information as you want about the contact record as you wish beneath it. If you want to limit it to just the detail, then you can absolutely do that and hide all the sub tabs, if you like. So you can have a choice. You can either have the detail and then click on the tab as you want it. Then the tab might be addresses, it might be opportunities, it might be notes and history. So you can choose when you want to see it, and of course the system remembers that. Or you can have it in a scrolling format and just open up all the tabs, and they can be there as a list. We find people who use Infor find that is quite handy, and you can obviously turn it on and off very quickly. And obviously, as the user, the system remembers your configuration. So the next time you come in, whatever you set the last time will be like that. And I think it's similar, but not quite the same in Sugar, right, Sonia?
Yeah, and it's yeah, they're very fine details, but they are a little different. You're right, Ross. So you can see the contact card up top on that Sugar screenshot, so we can see that person's information. And by the way, in Ross, this is the same with Infor, right? We're calling this a contact card view, but really this is just a record view. So
yes.
So this view will look the same in a case, an opportunity, a lead account as it does a contact.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Okay, good. So this is what you'll see in an individual record. So with Sugar, yes, very similar to Infor CRM, but down below you'll see the list of emails, and you can click and it will open up, or you can click it and it will tighten it up. And then just like what Ross said, with Sugar, you can bring a module, is what we call them, like calls. You could drag up top of emails, and then you would see calls that way just for that one user, and it does memorize the way that the screen has been laid out. Every time that you log in, it will memorize it for that user. Now, again, that preview space in the UI is being used on this individual record view as well. So you see that side of the screen, it has kind of a graphical then interface where you can press the eyeball button on an email or a call in the metadata, and it will blow it up and show it on the side. Or you can also just have dashboard items there. So instead of just having it, sure, you can still preview a record, but you could also have that dashboard show all the opportunity data for that contact or cases. So you're actually seeing dashboard items that aren't just previews of the record right within that contact or lead record.
Just to add one last thing about the Infor view, you can see there is a sidebar there. It doesn't do what Sugar does. Sugar's actually quite a neat function in Sugar. In Infor, it has a different functionality. You can see there's a list of something. If you've created a group of contacts, let's say all your contacts in New England or something, or in Boston, then as you open up one record, the one we're looking at here, all the other records in that group are going to show on the list on the right. So if you want to quickly move through the group of records, I'm looking at Sonia's record, Ross's record, Sarah's record. I can very quickly just identify on the right-hand side. So it uses the real estate in a different way, but arguably in a very useful way too.
Yep, I remember that. Useful. Yep.
So out of the box reporting, there is a difference here, and anyone who's used Saleslogix Infor CRM will be very familiar with good old crystal reports. And that's slightly tongue-in-cheek because it is good, but it is sort of old. It's there. It's a solid reporting tool, and as you see, I've just overlaid on the screen here a snapshot of a report that was run. At 70 out-of-the-box reports, it comes with a full Crystal Administrator enterprise license, so you can create your own. But anyone who's familiar with the tool is also familiar. There's other ways of extracting data through filters and queries, which we haven't got time to get into now. And so the reporting engine, I would say in Infor, is oldish, but you'll see in a minute we're talking about some advanced stuff in a second. But there is a difference now between what's in Infor and Sugar, Sonia.
Sure. So Sugar, a little bit more of a modern reporting interface where it's all just baked into the tool. So there's no crystal report. Sugar simply has its own baked-in reporting utility. So their point-and-click report builder. I was a journalism major. I know how to make Sugar reports now. Sure, it took a couple training sessions with our admins, but am now able to just make reports very easily by clicking and dragging. So it is a bit easier to make reports. And then all of these you can see, just like Ross had in the Infor space, really nice graphical interface, and you can have the subset of data down below the report, or again, you can click in the drillable report and see it. You can also schedule reports to be sent automatically, which we do for our scorecard reporting. We have them sent every Sunday at midnight, so they're in our box Monday morning. Can you do that, Ross, with?
Yeah, actually, a good point. I missed that. Yes, you can. Yeah. You can set a schedule, and it does something else as well. It actually saves that snapshot report as a PDF, So if you run a report at, dark 30 on a Monday for the previous week's whatever, then that report is saved as a PDF. So you have a snapshot in time of the data run at that point, and it'll keep a history of all of that. Yes.
Ah, that's such a good transition into the next slide.
Okay, so we just mentioned out of the box reporting, but a lot of people want to go beyond this. And whilst there's a lot of reporting tools out there in the big wide world, from Infor's perspective, Infor purchased Burst, which is a full-blown analytical BI tool, and can allow an interface with Burst with Infor CRM, plus obviously any other data source you like. But if you're looking for advanced reporting, then this may be a direction that you wish to go in. It's not the only direction, but it will be a strong contender, shall we say. If you're using any Infor-based product, it doesn't have to be an Infor-based product, but as Burst is owned by Infor, it's logical to at least take a look at this. Very powerful tool. So if anyone has an interest and is using Infor now and is looking for some advanced reporting, analytical type reporting, then give me a shout and we'll be happy to take a look at Burst for you.
Great. And I might take this opportunity too, Ross, for you just to explain the Infor as a company, which we probably should have done that at the very beginning. Well, no, we'll save that because I think we have a slide on that.
Just we'll talk about that in a bit.
Strategy, so we'll save that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then different with Sugar. So Sugar just rolled out a tool called Sugar Discover late last year, and this was grown by acquisition, a really great BI tool they acquired, and now Sugar Discover is back-ending advanced analytics for Sugar. This is very unique because just like Ross was talking about taking a snapshot with those PDF reports in Infor, Sugar Discover takes a snapshot of every piece of data in Sugar once you turn it on. Now, what does that mean? We can very easily compare what your close rate was last year this period to this time this period. That's actually a very unique thing in analytics. This would take a lot of hours setting up a data warehouse and implementing a tool like Tableau or something, and even then it struggles to really get time-aware data. So Sugar is doing all that for you, and also it kind of raises the red flag for you. So Discover doesn't just enable you to make more advanced reports, it also has a little bit of AI in it where it will say, hey, I'm seeing this trend. So after a while, after data keeps processing through Discover, it can proactively send alerts saying, hey, it seems that these deals are stalling in the same time period or the same stage that they've been stalling for all the other reps. Or, alert that the pipeline is decreasing so much that it's not able to reach last year's metrics. So it's more of a proactive intelligence tool. It's very unique to the market. We're having a lot of interesting success with it. All right. Ooh, integration.
Okay. So integration is always an interesting one. So bear in mind, people who know the Infor CRM Saleslogix know that it's built on sort of .NET and SQL Server backend. It has historically been an installed application. It was never designed for the cloud. It was migrated to the cloud. So in terms of integration, it integrates. Just back up a second. The reason that Infor purchased Saleslogix to start with 5 or so years ago was as a front end to its ERP products, and I've just listed some of them there. I don't think that's exhaustive, but there's 10 or so, 12 altogether, I think, so that it could integrate with all their ERPs. So the first thing it's worth saying that if we have people, or we know of people who are using an Infor ERP or has an Infor sort of platform implemented, ERP plus all the other things, then it does make sense to consider putting Infor CRM as the front end to that, because integrations already exist, and it uses what's called ION, Intelligent Open Network, which is a middleware piece that pushes and pulls XML business object documents between the two applications. There are other ways of doing it, but that is the Infor's recommended way of doing it. So it may prompt some other thoughts after you, Sonia.
Okay, great. So Sugar, we've been doing integrations with Sugar for years, but they've always been point integrations, meaning we've taken Sugar's documented API, which is very great documentation, and we're able to make calls between both systems if there's an API with the other system that we're integrating with, and we can make a nice point integration where both systems communicate. So it is pretty straightforward for us to create integrations with Sugar and any other system, even if it's not in the cloud. Now, a strategy that Sugar has presented just this year has been a really cool tool called Sugar Integrate. And now this is giving us kind of something to work with. We're not just creating integrations from scratch anymore. They now have a piece of middleware, kind of like Ion, where it's a cloud integration tool, and it's got pre-configured integration where the endpoints are set up. So, one to, let's say, QuickBooks Online. So QuickBooks Online has a great documented API. So does Sugar. Integrate's going to sit there with all the predetermined endpoints and let end users really configure, okay, this matches up with this, and we're going to exchange the data. So it's a much more kind of straightforward and easy way to come out with an integration strategy for your company.
Yep, and I'll just add, just go back 1 second, Sarah. Thanks. I didn't mean to imply that it's only Infor products that can integrate with Infor CRM. Clearly, and you can see in the diagram beneath there, it says public data, third party, CRM, ERP, Internet of Things. Depending on what it is you're integrating with, then it can integrate in a myriad of different ways. So don't think that there's a limitation. It's just that the Infor way of doing it, you would utilize Ion. So anyway, thanks. Next slide. So the technology platform for Infor has the Infor operational service. Don't call it iOS, because we all get confused with iOS and Apple iOS, but Infor OS operating service has a whole swathe of modern technology, from AI to analytics to implementation as a service, and the security layer, the whole data management piece. So if a client has an investment in the Infor stack, if you like, they're using Infor ERP plus other things, then it's worth looking deeper into what can that leverage for you in terms of perhaps putting CRM on the front of that. One obvious one, I don't know if people are aware of it, there's I feel like a dashboard intermediary layer called Mingle that pulls information together in an Infor environment and allows you very quick access to all the different parts of all the applications in the totally deployed solution. Just one part of it. If you're looking at Infor CRM as a standalone, it doesn't necessarily make sense to look at a lot of these things. But if you're looking at Infor CRM as part of a total platform implementation, because there's other Infor products around, then this is absolutely should be delved into, and I can explain in more detail with a one-to-one. The AI is called Coleman, by the way, at the bottom of the screen there, second from bottom, little blue title square, Coleman AI, and there'll be a small prize for anyone can work out who Coleman was later in the call. Actually, there isn't a prize. But...
Was not aware of that. All right, and then Sugar has a really interesting strategy, and they've really been eloquent and have really hammered home the differentiators that they've presented to the market this year. So Sugar originally was a best of breed CRM. That's really all they did, CRM, and that's all. They have recently gotten really aggressive with expanding the stack. So just as Rosh has shown with the Infor CRM stack or Infor stack, Sugar is doing a similar thing, but I think more on kind of a front end look. So we've got Sugar Serve, which is, think of it as like a ServiceNow or a Zendesk, where you're able to add at any time very deep case management, customer case management, by just opening up Sugar Serve to your support users. So this is a really nice interface where users can go in and create cases. Clients can automatically create cases through a portal that you get with Sugar Serve, and there's a knowledge base, right? So it's a very front-end friendly customer success tool. Sugar Market is another great tool that's part of the Sugar family, and this is a true marketing automation tool. And this can inbound market drip in leads into your system, score leads and nurture market to them as they move through your site. And then Sell is the CRM product, of course, Discover being the AI product that we just talked about. And this is all built on an AWS platform. So Sugar has also made a huge investment in the AWS platform, and all of their products that you're seeing here are going to be built on that platform. So there's going to be a common data model, which is a very hot term, something that Microsoft has used for a long time. Sugar is going to be using that common data model on the Amazon platform. Ooh, marketplace. So sorry, Ross, I lead this one.
Yeah, you do lead this one.
So Sugar has a marketplace, a couple of them actually that are out there. And what is a marketplace? Think of, the App Store with Apple. So two marketplaces, Sugar Outfitters and Sugar Exchange. Outfitters is not run by Sugar proper, but they're development houses like BrainSell that make nice apps or integrations, mostly apps that you can download and purchase right through the store, and then it installs into your Sugar instance right from there. Exchange is run by Sugar and has a lot of the same things as Sugar Outfitters, but some different. And this is just meant to expand the functionality and use of Sugar. So those things could include like cool calendar functionality, a QuickBooks integration. One that I love is like a telephony integration. So hooking your phone up to Sugar, so when someone calls, it caller IDs and shows their contact, and you can take a note, right? So fun, like sticky sales things. And that's something that you get with Sugar.
And yep, and that is a differentiator in the Infor Saleslogix space. There are many apps actually that integrate with Infor CRM Saleslogix that was. Some of them are discrete apps. Some of them actually have been designed, if you like, within the infrastructure of Infor CRM itself, because it has an interesting structure such that you can build, if you like, an app within the tool, and then you can plug it in and plug it out as and when needed. But to be fair, there isn't a marketplace as such. There are many other add-ins that allow functionality, including telephony, for example, but where it's fair to say that Sugar has stolen the march on Infor is that they have a discrete go-to place to look for these third-party add-ons, and that's, I would have to say, it's a fair differentiator.
All right.
So
yes.
pricing. Okay, let's talk about pricing a bit. So again, because of the difference in how Infor CRM can be deployed, remember, it can be deployed in the cloud, or it can be as a software as a service type product, or it can be installed on premise. And if it's on premise, then it's a perpetual price. It's an outright purchase. So the differences you can see there, so the 65 or 100 for named or concurrent in the cloud, and basically 1,000 and 1,100 for the named and concurrent if it's on premises. Quick difference is if it's subscription, that it includes a maintenance fee. In other words, you can call in and ask for help. If it's on the perpetual price, then you pay an additional annual fee, which is about 22% as an annual maintenance fee, and that gives you your upgrades, updates, contact with tech support, and all those good things. So if you chose to upgrade down the line and you're current on maintenance, then you can download the software and have at it. So there is a difference there. So perpetual price is a one-off price, but there's an ongoing annual maintenance fee, whereas subscription, it's all included.
Got it. And Sugar is very straightforward. It does not have a perpetual price. It's a software as a service. You pay for it every year, and that gives you access to the application, just like your 365 email subscription, right? If you stop paying, it turns off the service. So it's pretty straightforward. Because Sugar is hosted in the cloud, you pay that SaaS fee, you get access to the program, of course, and then all the updates, which I said before is just transparently pushed. So that's also another benefit of being in the cloud, is you don't have to pay an engineer or anyone to log in and do a software update. It's done, again, transparently. Ross, I think Infor does the same, is that right? If it's in Infor's cloud, or do you still have?
No, it's not. So that's a good point. It's worth a differentiator here. So in Sugar cloud, the true SaaS model applies and updates are just rolled through when Sugar decides it, advising the customer. In the Infor model, it's using a single tenant logic, so each customer would have a different installation in the cloud. So if ABC company wants to upgrade, they're not going to be told they have to upgrade. They can choose to upgrade when they want, and it's just their discrete instance that will get upgraded. So it's not pushed through from corporate. There is a choice there. So yeah, there's a difference there. So single tenant is the cloud model for.
Does Infor do that upgrade, or is it up to someone like BrainSell to help with the upgrade?
It depends on the complexity of it. Generally, it's worth always contacting us as the business partner, as a safety net. Usually we would get involved in some way to assist with the upgrade.
Got it. So Infor's hosted in the cloud. It's not necessarily a software as a service product like Sugar is.
Well, yes, it's hosted in the cloud, but it's paid for as software as a service. So it's a subscription model, but it happens to be installed in a cloud instance. Yeah.
Got it. And that is a fine difference that we like to talk about with people, especially this is a real difference in ERP and accounting systems, I find too. Again, Sugar's built in the cloud. So it's not that there's, a singular instance that you have that's installed in AWS. It's a stack that's in AWS and you get access to that and everything gets updated at around the same time, but they let you hold off too if you don't want to upgrade right away. Okay, great. Ooh, Q&A.
All right, so this brings us to the Q&A portion of our presentation. I've had a few questions come in, but a reminder to folks, if you haven't put your question in the question box yet, go ahead and do so now and we will run through them. So I had a couple around migration and then one around language. The first one, the language one, they say we're a global company. We have users utilizing different languages. Can you set that in either one of these?
Yeah,
you,
so
Sonia?
Yeah, no, I'll take that. Sugar has language packs. So you can install a language pack into their module loader. Let's say Mandarin Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese, French. You just Google it. I think there are over 50 that Sugar supports. And then that will make that user who is associated with the language pack, it will make all of the fields in Sugar and everything appear in their language. And people can have different languages in the same instance of Sugar. So yeah, that's supported. Ross, what about Infor CRM?
And it's the same with Infor CRM. There are, I think, 8 or 9 or 10 different languages, include all the obvious ones, the European languages and Chinese and so on. And similarly, the user selects what language they want to see the screen layouts in. As a general rule, people tend to put data in English. If you're a global company, there's some logic for doing that. So it makes sense to put, English in the data if the database is being held somewhere centrally, so that everyone can at least see the data in the fields in exactly the same format. The labels of the fields, the screen names can be all in local language.
Yep. Great. Okay, so we had a couple about moving to a new CRM. Let me try and summarize this. We're currently on Infor. We're looking to move to Sugar. What does that lift look like?
Yep. I'm happy to field that one because we're talking to a number of clients at the moment who are considering the same move. There's a sort of the caveat answer of it depends on how much you want to move. So the challenge of moving between any two systems is the data mapping between the two. So if you have accounts in your target system and accounts in your source system, then the fields in each of those systems need to marry up. And that holds for all the different modules or data entities, accounts, contacts, opportunities, notes, history, and so on and so on and so on. And then if you have customization in your source system, any custom fields or tables, do you want that to translate as well into the new system? It's not a problem, but we need to know about it. So what I'd recommend is whoever that person is, reach out to me and we'll have a conversation about what that looks like. It will start with understanding what data you want to move and having a look at your current system so that we can see how it's been configured, and that will give us an idea of what the target system needs to look like.
Great. And we do have the names of people submitting these questions, so we'll be able to follow up with you afterwards. Another question that just came in: with Infor CRM hosted in the cloud, do I still need IT staff with knowledge and experience to support and maintain the product for my company, like would be required for an on-premise implementation?
That's a very good question. So just to replay that question, is the same amount of IT support required for Infor CRM Cloud versus Infor CRM on premises?
Mm-hmm.
As a general rule, the answer to that question is no, not the same amount of IT resource will be required for a number of reasons. One, the whole of the cloud instance is maintained by Infor, so the uptime issue is taken care of by Infor. So if it was on premises, then someone has to be responsible for keeping the server running. What if the server crashes? What if there's a power outage? What if you have to start, restart IIS or something? Somebody has to do that. When it's in the cloud, it's all taken care of. And that could be, depending on what your on-premise system is, that could be quite a lot of time. In the cloud, it's taken care of by Infor. Now, from an admin point of view, then again, it comes down to, it depends. Do you want to make changes in the system? If you do, then there's really no difference making changes on an on-prem system or making changes in the cloud system. But that's not really an IT resource. It might be an IT resource, but it'd be probably a super user type person, an administrator of CRM for actually doing that. So as general answer, there's going to be much less IT requirement for Infor cloud system than on-prem. But if you're going to make changes to the system, it's going to be moot, right? It's going to be the system wherever you put it.
Yep, makes sense. All right, that looks like those are all of our questions. If you do have questions after this that weren't answered, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be following up again with the recording and the deck in email tomorrow morning, so you can just respond to that email as well. But before we wrap up, Sonia and Ross, any final words?
I
would just, after you, Sonia, ladies first.
Oh, I don't know. I might want to end. What I'll say is we have been, so selfishly speaking, from the sugar side as a convert over to sugar myself, we have experience doing these transitions. So if you are on Infor or another CRM, we are expert in doing these migrations. So rest assured, we've done these before, and we'd love to talk to you about getting you into sugar. Ross?
Yep, I would sort of endorse that. We represent a whole range of CRMs, and we're moving people between CRMs all the time. So whether it's between this and that, or that and this, or whatever, we're very experienced with moving data and setting up new systems. So if you have any questions about your current system, whatever it is, and what your target system may be, whatever it is, as Sonia said, feel free to reach out to us, because we have a lot of experience here, and we can guide you towards the right way to do it, and probably the right solution for you to look at as well.
Yep, that's fair. And I think, as we're offering this CRM health check to attendees of this webinar, because there may be folks on the line like, my CRM, it's not quite working for me. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I'm not sure. So talk to an expert, get on the line with us. We can walk through what you're currently using, how you're using it, offer best practices, maybe to optimize your current solution or to look at other options based on what your goals and objectives are. So please feel free to take advantage. It's a complimentary CRM health check. All right, and thank you everyone for joining us. So again, we will send the recording to you tomorrow via email, as well as the presentation. And thank you, Sonia and Ross. This was really great. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.